Marking 1 year since the Israeli assault on Palestine that claimed over 42,000 lives on 7 October 2024, pro-Palestinian supporters from Punggol West gathered at a Meet the People session to discuss potential sanctions against Israel with MP Sun Xueling. The gathering reflects growing concern among Singaporeans over Singapore's role in the crisis, with particular focus on arms sales and Singapore's diplomatic stance. Ms. Sun Xueling highlighted Singapore's humanitarian efforts, noting that over 17 million Singapore dollars, approximately $13 million, had been directed to the region as part of aid packages. She described the ongoing crisis in Gaza as a huge human catastrophe and advocated for an immediate ceasefire. However, residents raised questions about the feasibility of a ceasefire, especially in light of Singapore's arms trade with Israel. Many pointed out Singapore's purchase of Blue Spear missiles for the Navy and the showcasing of Israeli weapons at the Singapore Air Show, as well as the operation of Israeli defense company Elbit Systems in Singapore. Though Ms. Sun clarified that she was not involved in these arms dealings, she promised to raise these concerns with the relevant ministries. The session also referred to recent parliamentary discussions. On 2 July 2024, NCMP Leong Mun Wai of the Progress Singapore Party asked the Minister for Foreign Affairs whether Singapore had sold any defence materials to Israel since the conflict began in October 2023. Minister Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan responded that Singapore strictly adheres to international arms sales obligations and submits regular reports to the United Nations, but did not disclose specifics due to national security concerns. Singapore's vote in favour of a United Nations General Assembly resolution on 18 September 2024 added more complexity. The resolution called for a halt to imports from Israeli settlements and a ban on arms provisions to Israel where they might be used in the occupied Palestinian territory. NCMP Leong subsequently filed a question regarding whether Singapore would implement the resolution's steps. The session in Punggol West revealed additional concerns. Residents referenced Israel's ground invasion of Lebanon and Syria and questioned whether sanctions were being considered. Ms. Sun Xueling acknowledged their fears and expressed her agreement that the crisis in Gaza was unacceptable. When pressed on sanctions, she explained that the Israel-Palestine conflict is much more complex than other global issues, like the Russia-Ukraine war. However, she reassured residents that their concerns would be relayed to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The session ended with residents submitting a petition urging the Singapore government to impose sanctions on Israel. Some residents voiced frustration over what they saw as inconsistency in Singapore's approach. They highlighted Singapore's historical stance, noting that the country only established diplomatic ties with South Africa after the end of apartheid. Ms. Sun admitted her limited knowledge of these specific historical events but promised to discuss them with the MFA. Netizens have since reacted strongly to the discussion, with many expressing dissatisfaction over Singapore's stance. Comments on social media questioned whether Singapore's approach to Israel was influenced by geopolitical considerations, pointing to the country's defense ties with Israel as a potential factor. One commenter criticized Ms. Sun's response during the session, suggesting that she avoided using terms like genocide and apartheid to describe the situation in Palestine. Others drew attention to the disparity between Singapore's swift imposition of sanctions on Russia after the invasion of Ukraine, compared to its lack of similar action regarding the ongoing violence in Palestine. Some critics questioned the common narrative that the Israel-Palestine conflict is an ancient issue, emphasizing that it is a violation of international law stemming from Israel's illegal occupation of Palestine since 1967. There was also skepticism about Singapore's ability to take a stronger stance against Israel. Some pointed out that Singapore has long-standing security ties with Israel, which played a role in building Singapore's military in its early days. These critics argued that speaking out against Israel could put Singapore's security at risk. So, what do you think? Should Singapore consider imposing sanctions on Israel given its historical and security ties? Or should Singapore take a firmer stance in light of the humanitarian crisis? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to 2230 for more updates on important global issues.